You're listening to What She Said, a podcast about blogging, creativity, and life online, hosted by me, Lucy Lucraft, a freelance journalist and blogger based in Brighton. Hi, Dave. Welcome to the podcast.
Hi, Lucy.
How are you?
I'm good, thank you. How are you?
Yeah, not bad at all. So you're the fourth, I suppose, technically, man to be on What She Said.
I feel quite privileged.
It's pretty exciting. So Dave and I met when Rotterdam, but you've been listening to the podcast for quite a while, so I sort of knew you online because of that. And then we met in real life at the Traverse conference.
Yeah, it was a Traverse, but I have been listening since the very beginning.
Yeah, you have. How did you
even
find
online
it?
For a while.
Have you?
Yeah.
We kind of move in the same circles, don't we, I suppose, because you're a travel blogger.
Yes, I suppose there's that travel blogger crew. They're always at the same events and the same conferences, that sort of thing.
Yeah, totally. So, actually, we've jumped in, but let's take it back a little notch.
Okay.
And can you please introduce yourself and tell everybody about your blogging journey so far, who you are, what you share online, all that kind of jazz. You know the score.
Yeah, so my name's Dave, and I blog at Man vs. Globe. I suppose I initially started blogging when I took a long backpacking trip to South America. I suppose that's the way that a lot of travel bloggers start. They're kind of away traveling and decide to start blogging to let family and friends at home know kind of what they're up to. So I started doing that. It lasted about a month, I think, because I realised that I just didn't want to spend my time writing when I could be out exploring a new city or meeting new people. So it didn't last very long. And it was the kind of thing where I know a lot of other travel bloggers say this, where you're just writing kind of your day-to-day things, not of any interest to anyone really apart from your family and friends, or maybe not even of interest to them, I suppose. But then when I got home, I had a couple of months where I didn't have a job. I was kind of looking for work, so I just decided to start blogging. I'd been following quite a lot of travel bloggers while I was away, and I kind of interacted with them on Twitter, on Instagram, and that sort of thing. And I kind of liked the community, so I decided that it was something I wanted to do. But I'm not a writer as such. I've always hated writing. It was more somewhere to put my photos and kind of just talk about my experiences a little bit. So I've been blogging now for about 2 years. It was 2 years last week, actually.
Oh my goodness. Happy blogiversary.
Thank you.
That is a quick kind of rise to... I was about to say rise to fame, but that doesn't sound quite right. But in that time... No, but really, like you've become very respected in the industry, like really quickly. And I think you won an award within the first year of blogging. Not that it should be all about awards, but I think it's good to celebrate that.
Yeah, so I think it was after about a year and a half I won Lonely Planet's Travel Blog of the Year.
That's amazing.
Which was insane. I really wasn't expecting that. But then I suppose there's awards just flying about left, right and centre, isn't there? So every blogger can now call themselves an award-winning blogger. And they don't necessarily mean a lot because...
Yeah, I know.
It's whoever's selecting that, you might be the best that they've picked. But like when I won this award, I suppose I thought there's hundreds of other bloggers that I think do a better job than me. It just happened that people selecting decided on me instead of them.
Well, that's very humble of you, but but there's also, the other stuff. You've gone on press trips and in the travel blogging circles, which I'm kind of still a part of, in that I've got a lot of my best friends are all travel bloggers, and that's how I've met them. You are well respected in the industry, I would say, by both PRs and agencies and other travel bloggers.
I think a lot of that's just getting yourself out there, kind of going to events, meeting other bloggers, and then they'll put you forward for things or recommend you. So I think it's more just kind of getting your face out there than anything else.
Yeah, and it's funny because I was talking to somebody. I've never been good at that. I really, really don't like any of that sort of stuff. And I was talking to somebody for the podcast earlier, Kat Horrocks, who is the creative introvert. And we were saying that networking as an introvert can be a bit futile. So for me, when I network, when I'd go to these blogging events, I would either not go because I'd just be too traumatized, or I would walk in and then walk out. Or when I started to make friends, I would just speak to them. And that is literally all I ever do now, is just speak to my friends. I don't speak to anybody else. I don't network.
I kind of do the same though. I can remember going to my first event, I just kind of stood in the corner and didn't speak to anyone because, like all bloggers, I'm a bit of an introvert. I think it's a kind of common thing that we all share. I think on my first event, one person spoke to me, got friendly with them, and then at the next event they were there, so they introduced me to more people, and it kind of built up from there, I suppose.
What was the turning point for you from when you, because I know you still have a full-time job at the moment, you work in science labs, don't you?
Yeah, so I was working in the science lab. I was a chemist. At the moment, I just sit behind a desk looking at numbers all day. So I suppose my blog's a bit of a creative outlet just to kind of get away from the mundanity of looking at numbers.
But at what point did it turn into something that you knew, well, would be more than just a hobby? Because, you know, you go on press trips and I don't know if you work with brands, actually. You don't really work with brands, do you?
No, not really. I get kind of emails every so often, but I tend to ignore them unless it's a brand I like.
Yeah.
So I don't really do it much. But I suppose it was only the last maybe 6 months that things have started to happen more with my blog. Because until then it was just something I do part-time, and it's kind of, I think it's the last 6 months or so, it's kind of taken over to the point where I'm working on my blog all the time, before work, after work, that kind of thing.
Wow.
But I don't know what the turning point was. It just, all of a sudden I started getting emails all the time, and there's no rhyme or reason to it. It just happened. I think
there probably is a bit of rhyme or reason to it in terms of when, I think you're right, that when you get your face out there and when people, and Traverse said this in the first episode of series 2, I think, or not first episode, one of the episodes in series 2, and they said, you know, a lot of the time, if you're not being invited to stuff, it's just because nobody knows about you, and and it is frustrating, I think, sometimes. But it's not a democracy in the sense that there is some blogging god out there who's looking at everybody at the same level and checking, oh, you've got this much more traffic and you're this much better writing, etc., etc. It's kind of the sum of lots of parts, isn't it?
Yeah, I suppose so. I suppose a lot of PRs don't just look at numbers. Might pick you because they think you're kind of on brand for them. You create content that they like.
Yeah.
And I think it kind of grows. If you work with one person, they'll recommend you to someone else, and it's a bit of a snowball effect, really, from there.
Yeah, I think so too. And when you've proven yourself to one person, and you get a good reputation, which you have, then people have more confidence, don't they?
Yeah, I suppose if you can deliver what they want, they're happy to pass you on. Because I think as the Traverse guys were saying, PRs talk to each other. So
yeah, totally.
If you do a good job, they'll pass on your details.
And likewise, like as in, and vice versa. So if you do a bad job, yeah, I've always been worried of getting onto people's blacklists, but never mind.
Oh, it's something that I constantly worry about.
Do you?
Living on time, because I suppose if I'm working all day, I don't want to come home and bash out a blog post for the next day or something like that. So it's just kind of having to keep in contact with someone, let them know you can't deliver on time and that sort of thing.
Oh, yeah. Oh, I always worry about stuff like that. I'm glad somebody else does too. So one of the things that I wanted to talk to you about was your incredible travel photography. I think you do travel photography like nobody I've ever seen, and especially for somebody who is relatively new to travel blogging and also isn't, you know, a full-time travel blogger or a professional in quotation marks. What are your top tips for that?
Oh, for tips for street photography, I find street photography quite tough, even though it's the thing that I'm most passionate about. I don't like the kind of traditional street photography of like, I suppose traditional street photography is taking candid shots. You've got the camera at your hip, kind of taking pictures without people knowing. I always feel a bit weird about that, especially knowing that I'll be putting the photos on Instagram or my blog. Kind of feel like I'm stealing a shot from someone and then putting them online. So what I'd like to do is kind of walk around with my camera out, make it obvious that I'm taking photos. Then you can kind of see if someone's shying away, you know, not to take their photo. If they're not bothered, you can just snap away. But the thing I do most is just walk around with a smile on your face, talk to people. if you talk to someone for 10 minutes, they're probably more likely to say yes if you ask them to if they can take a portrait. Like a good example, I've just put a photo diary on my blog of Jodhpur in India. I've got some of my favourite photos of something I took of a marching band there. I just found them outside my hostel. They were just sat having lunch after practicing. So I went over, asked them what was going on, if there was a festival, that sort of thing. Spoke to them for about 10 minutes, and after that, they were all happy to smile and have their portraits taken. I think as soon as I took one portrait, everyone that was there kind of asked me to do the same thing for them.
Yeah, I bet.
So it's kind of just, you just have to smile and be chatty to people, really, and it kind of, everyone's open for having their photo done.
I find travel photography really hard. I always have done. And especially, I kind of nailed my style a little bit like later on, but it took me a really long time. And portraits, I've always found really, really difficult to do. Really difficult. And I don't think I would ever go up to somebody and speak to them. I'd be way too scared. Even in India.
You are. Because like in Europe, I find it really hard to do because I find people a bit more kind of cagey.
Yeah, they are.
Whereas like when I was in India, more because you find in India, did you find a lot of people kind of come up and take your photo?
Yes, all the time. Everybody's so friendly and
So you'll maybe say yes to one person and you'll have a queue of people waiting to take your photo. But I think because of that kind of culture there, people are happy to pose for a photo for you as well.
Yeah, that's true.
So it depends on the country because in Europe it's really hard to get someone to pose for you or a lot of the time even talk to you.
Yeah.
Take a picture of them.
Oh, yeah, I wouldn't even attempt it. But yeah, you're so right. And I remember when I was in Myanmar, people were because when I went, it was 2014 or 15, there really weren't many tourists there at all. And they were really excited to see tourists and super friendly and wanted to just come and talk to us. So we posed for a lot of pictures.
Yeah, exactly. But if you've posed, then someone's going to they're going to have to say yes to you if you're going to ask for a photo as well.
Yeah, that's a good point.
I started doing a lot more portraits when I was in Sri Lanka because I was with a guide, like a guide drove us from one city to the other, and he was saying it's really easy to take photos of people here because it's like the Sri Lankan culture. Everyone's kind of open, live in big families, so there's no privacy. Really, people are a lot less cagey. So if you ask for a photo, someone's always going to say yes.
Oh yeah, I never thought of that. It's such a different culture, isn't it?
Yeah.
I found Sri Lanka to be crazy friendly as well. I loved it. I love Sri Lanka and India. Amazing.
If you've ever listened to the podcast before, you'll have heard me mention the blogger course, and for good reason too. Monica Stock created the travel hack back in 2009, and since then she's become one of the most respected travel bloggers in the UK, if not the world. She's worked with a gazillion brands and she even has her own suitcase, which is amazing by the way. Over a series of weeks, Monica shares tips on creating video content, branding, writing, and the dreaded niche. In fact, this was such a game changer of a chapter for me that I went from thinking I was just a travel blogger to knowing that I am something completely different and that I have a super tight niche. It really, really changed my blogging life. The course isn't the only thing that you'll get, as all chapters are available for audio download, and when you join, you become a member of the private Blogger Course Facebook group, where members share tips, tricks, and opportunities too. Monica also gave members of the course the chance to join her on a press trip this year. In fact, I think they've been on 2 Blogger Course weekenders with Wow Trip, and there's more to come. So that's a pretty cool opportunity, and it's not one that I've seen with any other course. If you want to sign up, head to thebloggercourse.com today and get 20% off with the code WhatSheSaid. That's 20% off with the code WhatSheSaid.
We're going to Goa in January, actually.
Oh, well, I'm planning on going next year as well.
Are you?
Yeah, because I loved India so much that I want to go back and see a bit more of the country.
Yeah, and it's so big, isn't it? So big that you just,
I was in there for like 2.5 weeks, so I saw about anything, just scratched the surface. So I want to go back for, at the moment it's going to have to be short trips, but I'm going to keep going back, I think.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, it's definitely one of those places that just, like, it properly gets under your skin.
Oh, yeah, completely. Because, I wasn't sure at first. It's like, when you first arrive in a country and it's a slight culture shock, I suppose, but not a major one. And we started in Delhi, so it was kind of a bit hectic
Busy,
and
yeah.
it's hard to love, but it kind of, creeps under your skin, doesn't it?
Yeah, definitely. And I've got a bit of a theory about India as well, from a tourist point of view. It's one of those places that because I was there for about 6 months, so while you're actually there, you don't necessarily love it. You're not like every minute of every day, oh my God, this is the best country I've ever been in, because it's a culture shock, and it's quite aggressive on your senses in a good way,
completely, yeah.
and a bad way. But when you leave, whenever you tell people, if somebody says, oh, I'm going to India, or what do you think about India, you'll be like, oh my God, it's the best country in the world. And you
completely.
Do you know what I mean?
And I think it's just so diverse, and food's fantastic, and there's just too much to love about it.
Yeah. What was your favourite part of India?
Because I only went to Rajasthan.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't see a lot, but Jodhpur was my favourite place that I visited. But it was more because when I was there was a few festivals going on.
Mm-hmm.
So it was there was a bit of a party atmosphere.
I really, really, really loved Rajasthan. And especially Pushkar. I loved Pushkar.
I wasn't too keen myself.
Really? Interesting.
No, it was fine, but it was, I think there was a lot of backpackers there. It was just very kind of touristy, so everywhere you went, it was just, I don't know, I don't want to offend anyone, but faux hippie backpackers.
Elephant pants.
Yeah, so when if you was just sat trying to watch the sunset, they'd just be playing music on the phones, doing juggling and things, and you're just like, oh
God, that's
you just want to sit and enjoy yourself, but there's, I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't want to offend anyone for saying faux hippies, but
no,
do you know
what
I mean?
Yeah, totally. And I think actually it's really interesting that you say that, because when I was there, I was one of those people, except that I wasn't elephant pants or anything like that, but I was a backpacker then.
Well, there's not necessarily that I mind. It's when it's do you know they were backpacking? Have you heard that term?
No.
So it's backpackers that kind of go to a city and they'll be selling things on the street to make money for kind of their onward travels.
Oh my God.
So they were kind of hanging around outside shops of actual people in pushcars selling the same things.
Oh my God, that's so inappropriate.
I know, that's what I thought. So they kind of put a kind of sour taste in my mouth.
Oh my God. Pushkar. Yeah, that's gross. No wonder you didn't like it. No, there was none of that when I was there at all. But that's really interesting. I've never heard that term.
It was kind of rampant when I was there. But it was a great city. There's a lot to see, a lot of cool cultural things to see, but that just kind of soured it a little bit.
Oh, that's such a shame. Oh well, you should go back when there's the Camel Festival, because I feel like it's not as many people then. Yeah,
I'd love to go for the Camel Fair. It looks amazing.
Yeah. Even though I don't like camels, I still kind of want to go.
Does anyone really like camels? I'm not sure if they do.
Yeah, I know. Well, some people seem to, but they're so disgusting.
I don't know, they're just smelly, but I'd love to go for the to take photos. It'd be a really good photography trip to go for the Camel Fair. Just see everyone dressed up in their gear and all the camels decorated and that sort of thing.
Yeah, it'd be so beautiful. So speaking of photography, have you always been a keen photographer?
No, not at all. I think it started when I went to South America. I bought kind of a cheap mirrorless camera that gave up on me about 3 months into the trip. But in the 3 months that it was actually working, I kind of started taking some pictures and enjoyed taking pictures of people.
Mm-hmm.
And I just really quickly got into it. And I think it wasn't until I saw the photos I'd taken, I thought, maybe I could get a bit more into this. So when I got a new job after coming back, I bought a camera with the money. And I'm still using that camera now, actually. So I'm just kind of trying to progress, trying to get a bit better, little by little.
I think you're brilliant. You're such a good photographer. Oh,
thank you.
What are your top tips for photography? Because so someone like me, I am very, very comfortable in, so on a Canon, it's AV mode. So basically aperture priority mode. And then I think on a Nikon, it's TV. I'm not really sure. I can't remember. But basically it's the depth of field mode. That's my favourite. that's pretty much how I'll comfortably take all my pictures. I don't want to know about shutter speed. I can't be doing with. I do sometimes shoot in manual. Yeah, I do sometimes, but I don't tend to play around too much with shutter speed.
Well, I think sometimes people kind of fetishize shooting in manual, like it's the be-all and end-all of being a good photographer. But I think a lot of photographers don't actually just shoot in manual, because you can set, on a decent camera, you can set different things to automatic. So I'll maybe have my focus as manual, I'll have my aperture as manual, but then my shutter speed will just be set to auto.
Yeah, that's what I do.
But generally, the way I shoot is I'll just take a ton of photos and eventually one will come out okay. I think that's the best tip.
That's a brilliant tip.
I think I'm far from a professional photographer. I don't even know what most of the settings on my camera do. And I think if you ask anyone that's not a professional, I don't think they will either, I'm sure.
I think you're right. I think we do fetishize it. I think we really, really do. But what about editing? How much do you do? Do you like to do quite a lot of it in camera, or do you like to, or are you not fussed about like, oh, okay, like this is an okay shot, but I know I can brighten it up or whatever in the edit?
I don't really do much editing. I suppose like if I was doing landscapes, which I'm terrible at taking, I never take any landscape photos, I'd probably do it a bit more.
Yeah.
But with portraits and things, I don't really do much editing. I'll maybe stick a photo into Lightroom, I'll brighten it, maybe do a bit of tinkering with it, but I don't really do much. So for Instagram, I usually just send photos straight from my camera to my phone and edit in the Instagram app.
Oh, do you?
Yeah, I don't
Within the
use
Instagram
Lightroom
app?
on my phone.
My goodness, that is shocking.
Yeah, I do very little editing of any photos, which is probably quite bad.
No, not at all. You don't need to.
do more if I did edit, but
I don't know. I think because you take a lot of pictures in natural light. Most of your pictures are in natural light, aren't they? So I think sometimes when you're doing that, you have to work a bit harder to get the right. I think, I don't know. Like I'm not a professional photographer either, but
if I do any photos at night, I do actually usually have to edit them.
Yeah.
But still not much. I'll just kind of do the basics.
I basically don't take any pictures at night because of that.
Well,
I just can't do it.
I take a lot, but most of them do come out blurry and terrible. But there's always one that comes out okay.
I learnt this really cool thing because when I was travelling, I met a photographer who ended up being my wedding photographer, a very close friend of mine.
Oh, Ruth. I love your wedding photos as well. The ones I've seen on Instagram look amazing.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, you should follow her, Ruth. She's amazing. She takes the most beautiful pictures. She taught me quite a lot when we were travelling, and she taught me this really cool trick because she lived in Spain and she took pictures at clubs as well as doing wedding photography, and she used to do this thing where she would, I'm going to have to remember it now because it's to do with shutter speed, which obviously I'm terrible at, but she would have the shutter speed like so it's super slow, and then she takes the picture and then moves the camera. So then you get a picture of a person in focus, but all the lights are swooshy behind them.
Oh, wow, that's a bit technical for me though.
Oh, yeah, so so then I was constantly trying to do it. And when I got home and downloaded my memory card, I was like, wow, there is a lot of really, really dodgy pictures. But I think I got a couple that were quite cool.
Yeah, I just find night photography really difficult because most of mine just end up like that, just blurry with kind of light lines everywhere.
Well, you just have to have a tripod, don't you, for night photography?
Well, that's the thing. I've started travelling with a tripod, but it's just a pain to kind of lug it around, especially if you're on a short trip and you just want to take a small backpack or something. You don't really want to be carrying a tripod around with you.
Let's talk equipment then. What's your camera and what's your tripod?
So I shoot with a Fuji X-T10, which is kind of the more basic of the Fuji X series.
Is it a DSLR or a mirrorless?
No, it's a mirrorless.
Oh, nice.
So it's nice and compact, so you can kind of lug it around with you without taking up too much space. But it's kind of the entry-level one.
Yeah.
I've had it for about 3 years now. I'm looking to upgrade. They've just released an XT3, which I'm really keen on getting, but I just don't have the money to buy it at the moment. I usually shoot with just the kit lens as well.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So I do have a kind of 23mm that I use for a lot of street photography, just the prime lens. But they're quite expensive, so I haven't
Yeah.
bought any more lenses.
Yeah, prime lenses are expensive. And for anybody who doesn't know what a prime lens is, it's the one that you can't zoom on, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's kind of a fixed.
It's fixed lens.
Yeah.
But 23 millimeters, often people. So I have a 50 millimeter that I shoot with, as well as my kit. But a 23 millimeter, is that like specifically for portraits?
No, that's more for street photography because
Because it's longer.
I'm not very technical, so I might be wrong here, but it's kind of it's wider angle, so you
I
can get more
see.
street scene.
Got it.
So I'm really keen to get a 50 just for portraits.
Yeah.
So that's something I'm going to pick up at some point.
I find that to be just amazing for portraits. But funnily enough, not funnily enough because I never travel anymore, but I mostly use my Pixel for everything.
Oh, really?
I do now. I use my Olympus pen for like product shots, or if I'm doing anything specific, like anything for the blog. But I typically just use my Pixel. It's so good.
I think quite a lot of people just use the phone though, because if you're just taking a street scene, you don't necessarily need a good camera to take a good photo.
I agree with you. And what about your tripod? Do you use one of those like Joby kind of gorilla tripods?
I've got like a small Joby one that I've only just bought it. I'm gonna start using it for vlogging, so I can kind of hold my camera at length.
Yeah.
So on my next trip, I'm gonna try vlogging. I don't know how it's gonna go, but I've got like a travel Manfrotto one, so it's kind of
nice.
telescopic. So it's about the size of a carry-on suitcase in length.
Yeah.
And then you can kind of extend it to the height of a person.
Yeah.
So it gets good eye level kind of shots.
Oh, wow. But so that is quite bulky then, isn't it, to carry around, I suppose?
Yeah, so like if you put in your suitcase, it kind of takes up the full length of a small suitcase.
So, thinking about your blog and actually just your whole blogging journey, really, I know you haven't been doing it for a super long time, but I actually can't imagine what your answer is going to be to this, but have you had any stumbling blocks, any kind of negative parts of blogging that have shown up for you?
For me, I haven't had anything kind of directly blogging related that's a stumbling block or that's negative, but it's finding the time to blog around a full-time job is the thing that I struggle with most.
Yeah.
It's kind of coming home exhausted every day, and you think, I've just got to write this blog post, but I'd rather just get in bed and watch Netflix.
Yes.
I found kind of the way around it is to get up early in the morning, and like maybe 2 hours early before work, and you can sit and edit photos or something like that. And because then it doesn't matter if you're tired when you get home because you've already done your day's kind of blog work.
Oh, that's hard though. That's so hard.
I'm an early riser anyway, though, so
okay, fair enough.
I would be awake.
I could never do it after. I mean, I have never blogged around a full-time job, so I just don't. I'm always in awe of people when they do it and they do it successfully. There's a few people who I'm friends with in the blogging community that do that, and I just in awe. Yeah, I don't know how you do it.
I don't know how people do it and manage to knock out a brilliantly written blog post every day and work full time. It just seems insane to me.
But you do a fair amount.
Well, yeah, I try and do 2 blog posts a week.
That's a lot.
But because I'm not a writer, it can take me a full week just to write a blog post because it just takes me so much time to put it together and try and make it sound readable.
I think you're a really good writer.
I'm
surprised that you say it doesn't come naturally to you because it doesn't read that way.
Like English was always my least favourite subject, or the one that I struggled with. So I find it hard just to sit down and write.
Do you think it's maybe a story that you're telling yourself?
No, I think it's the way I write. I just struggle because I don't know, I kind of write in an analytical way. I'll kind of write down everything that I want to fit into a blog post and where in the blog post I want it to be, and then I'll kind of slot it all together as I write it. It's like paragraph at a time.
Yeah.
Which I've been told is the wrong way to write, but I can't just sit down and do a kind of stream of consciousness blog post. I get distracted too easily.
I'm really surprised that anyone's told you that's the wrong way to write, because that's also how I write.
Oh, great.
That's how I teach. That's how I teach how people should write their features as well when they get commissioned, because that's how I learned. Yeah, I mean, I can sometimes do a stream of consciousness for sure, but most of the time, and especially if it's a travel piece or if it's something I'm getting paid for or whatever, I plot it out beforehand.
Oh, completely, because that way you gain every point that you want to make,
absolutely.
Everything you want to tell the reader, and then you can kind of make it flow better if you do that way, because you'll get every point you want to make in separate paragraphs and kind of slot it together with kind of what you want to transition between each point, I suppose.
Yeah, don't believe the person that told this to you, because there's no right or wrong way to write. It's nonsense. It's like saying you're walking in the wrong way. It's no. If you get from A to B, you've done it right. That's my opinion anyway. Thank you so much for being part of the podcast, Dave. It's been a joy to speak to you. Where can everybody find you online?
So everyone can find me. My blog is manversusglobe.com, and on social media, I'm at Man vs Globe on pretty much everything.
Perfect. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Lucy.
Thanks for listening. You can find me at Lucy Lucraft everywhere. You can find old episodes of What She Said over at lucylucraft.com, where you'll also find me chatting about all things blogging, travel, vegan life, and zero waste living too. If you enjoyed this episode, you know what I'm going to ask you. Please think about leaving a review for the show. It genuinely makes a massive difference to me. And I really, really appreciate every single review you leave. I read every single one. They're really, really kind, and sometimes I even have a little cry when I read them because they're just so, so lovely. I respect and admire and appreciate every single one of you, whether you leave a review or not. I love that you listen and reach out and tweet me and whatever. And just remember that every review that you leave, I give £2 to charity. The charity this month is Endometriosis UK.